Hi, Andrea. We have a question today from a client that I think is going to be relevant for a lot of people. And this client shared that she has chronic underlying stress that she knows is impacting her
Mm,
health, and it's likely being escalated right now because, let's be real, all of us are feeling some anxiety and stress around the situation. And she said, just breathing just doesn't work for me. I need more. What else can I do to help myself manage stress and anxiety and these emotions that I'm experiencing right now?
yeah, such a good question, Caroline. Thank you for bringing that forward. I think that we often have stress in our life anyway, and the factors that are stressing us out are just all around us. They're externally with or possibly even more internally thinking about getting the virus, who's going to get the virus, what's going to happen, how bad is this going to be, right? We can just run away, and there are other home stressors as well. We are all living in different home environments. So there may be kids at home. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she was saying that her parents, who are in their 80s, aren't used to being in the same house together because they do their thing and then come back together for some things, but then go off and do their things, whether it's work or tennis or whatever. And they're now in this small space together having to readjust, and it takes a little while to adapt. So I want to say the first thing we need to do is recognize, what is it that we're feeling extra stress or anxiety about? Like, recognize and pinpoint what it is that is causing us stress, because there are many different factors, and really sit with the fact that that is a truth for us right now, and not try to push it under the carpet with breathing, right? At the same time, we have to embrace as many stress reduction techniques as we can right now to support ourselves. And Caroline, you're so good at this. You have a really good practice of stress reduction. I'm wondering what you would do in addition to breathing, because you meditate, you do your yoga. I'm good with my yoga. I'm not as good with my meditation off my mat. But
Yeah.
what else would you be recommending to folks to help right now?
I would really encourage people to think really broadly about stress management right now, stress management right now. So it's going to look different for everyone, just like diet is going to look different for everyone. It might be that you like to paint or draw or journal or laugh with your husband or kids or play cards. My husband and I actually play cards a lot at night, and it's really helps us with stress because we get to connect with each other, but we're focused on something, we're using our brains. Maybe it's crossword puzzles, maybe it's reading. If you're able to get out in nature right now, that is certainly going to be good for most of us, and
Yeah.
move your body. We often think, when we think about stress management, we think about kind of slowing down, but the reality is, if you're experiencing a lot of stress in your body, the thing that you might need to do is kind of release that stress. Like when we think of fight or flight, the flight part might be what we need right now. So exercise and movement, could be dancing. Like there's so
Yep.
many things that we can do. So if sitting in quiet meditation right now is not working because your brain is like, then try something else. Or maybe a guided meditation would work. My husband and I have been doing that at night, listening to guided meditation when our brains are chattering before we go to sleep. And that's really been helping us. But there's so many ways to think about managing stress. It doesn't have to look the same for everyone.
Yeah,
So
I think you said that so beautifully. I mean, I think we really do need to tune in, watch where it's getting to that escalation point, and turn it off. I was sharing yesterday when I was interviewed for a podcast that I'm so in touch with my stress response that I can tell when it's amplifying to that place where I have to switch gears. And that may even happen for me when I'm watching a movie with my boyfriend, where I can tell, like, there's something about what's happening that's making me very uncomfortable, and I have to leave the room or put earphones, like I'm done. And he's like, "Wait, we're like 30 minutes, there's only 30 minutes left." And I know that the anxiety is getting to me in a way that something is bothering me. Usually it's an injustice, right? I can't wrap my head around it. I can't do anything about it. It's out of my circle of control. I'm concerned. I don't have influence. And so I have to switch gears. So knowing when something is getting to an amplification point, whichever stressor it is, and knowing what you do need to turn to that's going to calm you down. We want to catch it before it's over that waterfall place. So just take this time to tune in. I love that you talked about, Caroline, we may need to get rid of that fight or flight response. Sometimes when that anxiety is there, you need to jog in place, do some great rebounding to get your lymph flowing, detox that thought or that emotion, have a dance party. I'm seeing so many online dance parties
Mhm.
happening right now. Connect and just like get it moving and get it out, but recognize where you're getting to that place of amplified stress that you know is going to keep you in that agitated place, and recognizing the point at which you can still turn it around. That's what works for me, to recognize where I need to switch gears, switch my mindset, give myself a reframe, and tune out for a minute. Do you have favorite ways, Caroline? You talked about playing cards. Do you have other ways you can like tune out?
Well, I want to build a little bit on what you said and say that I think right now we're in this place of needing to be in a delicate dance of being aware of what's happening in the news and in the broader picture, but also not being tuned in 24/7. My husband and I had to have that conversation a couple of days ago. It's like, I think you need to turn off the news because
Yes.
it's just causing so much anxiety. And we don't want to have our head in the sand, but we also want to notice, just as you're saying, when that is creating more anxiety and more stress. So for me, what I do when I reach that point of like, okay, I need to take a break. For me, it's physical movement, getting outside, walking, even if it's just a gentle walk or exercise, being in the woods, hanging out with my dogs and cats. I mean, some of it's so small, but I make a list. I mean, it
Yes.
sounds sort of
Good
goofy,
idea.
but literally make a list. Like, these are the things where I feel more relaxed. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mentioned playing cards. For me, cooking is relaxing. I know that's not true
totally.
for everyone,
I'm with you.
but yeah, I mean, just sit and sip some tea, stare out the window, right? There's so many, in some ways, we have an opportunity to slow down right now if we choose to take that opportunity. So make a list for yourself. Like, I'm not someone who likes to journal, but for some
Yeah.
people, that really resonates for them. So there's so many
Yeah.
things to explore.
Yeah, and it's what brings you joy. I think the list that you're making is what brings you joy. Not right now, but what do you know brings you joy? What brings a smile to your face? Make that list. And those are the things you turn to more quickly when you find yourself in that amplified mode, and catching where you can turn to that list and do something that's going to shift you out of that ramp up that can happen. I also just want to say, Caroline, before we end this conversation, that it's not going to be one and done. This is a practice. Stress reduction is something we have to learn over and over and over and over every day. And that right now it's amplified for all of us. So I just want to recognize you may be listening and going like, right, yeah, I can, what gives me joy? But just give these things a try. Sometimes we have to fake it till we make it, and we need to take care of ourselves right now. So I just want to recognize this is going to be an ongoing conversation for many of us. So thank you, Caroline, for sharing
Yes.
your wisdom. You're so good at this, and I'm grateful to have the conversation with you.
Yeah. Glad that we got the question.